Do a Mamta Kafle update for August 20th. I'd like to start off by wishing her baby a happy first birthday. August 20th is her child's birthday, her daughter's birthday, and she is missing it today. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of actual case updates, but we do have a little bit more insight into her life based on an interview that her husband gave to a Nepali news source. I'm not exactly sure who did this interview, but it is in Nepali, so another kind soul on Facebook helped translate it. The reason why I say I'm not sure if it's a journalist who did this is because the beginning of this doesn't sound very journalistic to me. So the person's asking about his mental state and just basically giving Naresh the opportunity to talk about how difficult this is on him. So here he's talking about how he's introverted and reserved. Mamta is a kind person. She would always motivate other people, which is basically what we've heard about her. Talking about how Mamta was the primary caretaker of their daughter, and that even though their daughter is young, she obviously misses their mother. He also says he can't cook, and Mamta loved cooking. And what I find interesting is this part right after that, where he says all the legal documents and paperwork was also kept safely by her. The reason why I think that this could be important is because we learned from Mamta's Facebook posts that back in June of 2024, she had misplaced or lost her green card. So either Mamta truly did misplace her green card, or she didn't, and Naresh is trying to make sure that he mentions that she was in charge of that type of stuff and not him, just to say, hey, maybe she lost. I know you guys have found that on Facebook, but wasn't me. This part right here is obviously a little bit of commentary from the person who translated this, but I do think it's interesting that he made slightly more than Mamta. Mamta was a pediatric nurse who worked 2 days a week. He is on disability from the U.S. Army, and he also currently has a job in IT. So I think he probably makes a little more than, slightly more than her. And this whole $9,000 is interesting. I don't know why that number in particular he needed to mention, but there was another post that Mamta made talking about how her husband drained their joint account, but this was earlier in the year. So I'm wondering if this is related to that accusation. Positive fights. That's an interesting one. Did you fight a lot? We had positive fights. Okay. Disagreements like couples normally do, but these are positive fights. We had a big fight during January, February. I don't remember the month, but I know it was during winter. What was the fight about? It was a family thing. She wanted to live a nuclear family, me, her, and our daughter. So basically, from what I've been able to gather on Facebook, his parents were in town, and that caused a lot of friction. Apparently Mamta and her in-laws didn't really get along, and so I have seen in other sources that they did have a fight about her wanting him to not have his parents there. He may not remember the date, but it seems like this was a pretty significant fight. According to Mamta's mother, in February, Mamta told her that Naresh beat her and was so violent that she left her home to stay with her friends. He was asking Mamta to get out of his house. And this is back when those in-laws were living with them. And that's one of the times that she disappeared. Mamta's friends and family knew where she was the entire time. It is not like this situation at all. But back to this interview, he says that he has never hit her, but that one time during this fight, his hand actually hit her head, but that was an accident. But everything's been really cool after that. After April, we don't even have a lot of fights. It's been pretty smooth. And I guess he credits Netflix for bringing them together. In this, he's referring to the river behind their house. She got sag, which is like spinach, basically, for saying that it was growing wild near this river, and that she made it for dinner, and he took the baby upstairs to sleep, but he already said that she was the primary caregiver, so I find that interesting. It doesn't seem as though he answers the question of who was sleeping where. The person has to leave for work early in the morning, sleeps in the other room on the bed. The person who sleeps with the baby sleeps on the floor in another room because that baby has started rolling off the bed. So I guess he's saying he took the baby to bed and slept with the baby because Mamta was the one who had to get up early to go to work on August 1st. So I think this is interesting too, that she was supposed to come back between 6:30 to 7:30 in the evening on August 1st, but he wasn't alarmed because she was just probably late. And the interviewer says, do you not text or call each other? He says, no, not so much. My work does not allow to use phone. And which that is kind of typical for a lot of these IT positions in this area. But if Mamta was scheduled to work, is he saying he was at work? Where was the baby? Who was the baby with? Basically, like every other time Naresh has given interviews, it kind of leaves me with more questions than answers. But I hope he keeps talking. Just talk and talk and talk.